Hey there, welcome back to a new week of What's for Dinner. I hope you enjoy this week of meals I created. I tried some new recipes and that type of thing, so I hope you find a recipe that you might enjoy yourself. I don't have too much to say today, so let's get to cooking. To get us started off, we're making this Mongolian chicken, and this is such a hit. You will probably love this recipe. I have a pound of boneless, skinless chicken breast that I sliced into small pieces and put in this Ziploc bag. To that bag, I added 1/4 cup of some cornstarch, and now I'm just going to shake this bag and coat all of the chicken pieces in the cornstarch. To my large pot, I'm going to be adding 3 tablespoons of some canola oil, or you could use vegetable oil if that's what you prefer. I'm going to make sure this oil is nice and hot. Once it is hot and starting to sizzle, I'm just adding my chicken pieces in. I am making sure that they're not overlapping, but I'm far from perfect, so they did overlap a little. Anyways, I did flip them at the halfway point through cooking. Now that we have our chicken fully cooked and it reached 165 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm just removing this chicken to a separate plate, and now we're going to begin to work on the sauce. To my pot, I'm adding in my teaspoon of some ginger along with 1.5 teaspoons of some minced garlic. I'm going to stir this around until it becomes fragrant. These 2 ingredients will burn quickly, so just mix it around until it's fragrant. Now I'm adding in my soy sauce. This is just 1/2 cup of low sodium soy sauce along with 1/3 cup of water, 1/2 cup of some brown sugar, and then I'm just going to stir this together. I brought this up to a boil and then dropped it down to a simmer. Once it was simmering, I added in our cornstarch slurry. For the cornstarch slurry, it was just 1 tablespoon of cornstarch with 3 tablespoons of water mixed together. I added that in along with our 3 chopped up green onions and our chicken, and I'm going to mix this all together. And I do have my heat on a low heat. I'm going to let this thicken up. Once it's nice and thick, it's ready to serve. Here is my bowl of food. I served our Mongolian chicken on a bed of some white rice with sesame seeds on top. If this recipe is intimidating you, don't let it intimidate you. This is super simple to throw together and it has phenomenal flavor. Now we're making some ranch chicken enchiladas. To get this recipe started, you're going to want shredded chicken. The way I'm boiling my chicken up is in the Instant Pot. So to my Instant Pot, I added in 2 medium-sized chicken breasts along with 1 cup of chicken broth and 1 packet of some taco seasoning mix. I just put my lid on the Instant Pot, set it to sealing, and cooked this up. You could also just boil your chicken on the stove and it would work the same way. While our chicken is cooking, I'm going to begin to work on the ranch salsa mixture. To this bowl, I added in 3/4 cup of ranch. I just chose to use the Olive Garden ranch because that's what I had on hand. And now I'm adding in about 1.5 cups of some salsa. Again, use any type of salsa you prefer. And then you're going to mix this mixture together. Now we're going to begin to assemble our enchiladas. So to my 9x13 baking dish, I'm just pouring a little bit of the salsa mixture that we just made up, and I'm just spreading it out on the bottom, just a thin layer like this. And now to assemble them, I'm just putting about 2 tablespoons of the salsa mixture in the tortilla, along with 1 tablespoon of cheese and about 1/4 cup of the chicken that we boiled up in the Instant Pot. I just shredded the chicken up after it was through cooking in the Instant Pot. I didn't show you that part though because it's pretty self-explanatory. Anyways, I did this with all of my tortillas. I'm just using flour tortillas for this. I poured the remainder of the salsa ranch mixture on top and then topped it with plenty more of our cheese. This went into a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes. Here are my enchiladas out of the oven. These came out really good. Everybody in my family enjoyed them. My only complaint was I didn't necessarily care for the ranch flavor in these, but I would make them again, but I probably just wouldn't add the ranch in them. I'd add enchilada sauce as a substitute. Now we're making one of my favorite things in the world, tortellini Alfredo. It's just total comfort food for me. To my Dutch oven, I added 3 tablespoons of some butter. I let it melt down. Once it was melted, I added in our 3 cloves of garlic, and I'm going to whisk this together until the garlic becomes fragrant. Once the garlic is fragrant, I'm just adding in my 1 tablespoon of flour, and once again, I'm going to whisk this together. Now that we have our flour and butter nice and golden brown, I'm going to be slowly adding in our milks. So I'm adding in 1 cup of milk along with 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. Again, you want to make sure you add these 2 milks in slowly just to ensure this comes out nice and smooth in the end. Once I finished adding in our milk, I just whisked this together and I brought it up to a simmer, and I'm going to let it thicken while it's simmering. I did stir it pretty consistently while simmering. Anyways, I'm going to boil up my tortellini now, or you could use ravioli. Once your sauce starts to thicken up, you're going to add in your 3/4 cup of some Parmesan cheese, whisk it together, and then you're going to add some salt and pepper to taste. One thing I do like to add in when I have it is some fresh basil. You could add in fresh basil. Unfortunately, I don't have any fresh basil right now. I just whisk this all together and let it simmer for about a minute while whisking it, and then it is ready to serve. Here is my plate of food. I served our tortellini with a side salad. This might just be my favorite Alfredo sauce of all time. It has such a great flavor, plus it is unbelievably easy to throw together and make. It got pretty cold this past week, so now we're making some Panera broccoli and cheese soup. To begin this recipe, you're going to want to chop up all of your vegetables. I'm just chopping up my 3 cups of broccoli right now. Over to my Dutch oven, I added in my 3 tablespoons of butter. Once it got melted down, I added in a half of an onion that I diced into smaller pieces. Once the onion begins to be soft, I'm going to add in my 3 cloves of garlic along with my flour. For the flour, you're going to add in 4 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. You're going to mix it together to get the flour incorporated in the butter and the onions. Now that our flour is nice and golden brown, I'm going to be adding in my 2.5 cups of some chicken broth. Again, I'm adding this in slowly while whisking it to make sure it is nice and smooth in the end. Now I'm adding in my 2 carrots that I grated very finely along with our broccoli. And then to season this up, you're going to add plenty of paprika, salt, and pepper. If you want to add any other seasonings in, you could definitely add other seasonings in at this point, but I like to keep it pretty simple for this recipe. I stirred everything together to combine, and then I put the lid on this and let it simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes or until the broccoli was soft the way I like it to be. Here we are 20 minutes later. I'm just adding in 1 cup of some heavy whipping cream along with 1 cup of some regular milk. You're going to stir this all together, and then you're going to add in 2 cups of some sharp cheddar cheese. Once again, you're going to stir it all together, let everything warm through, and then it is ready to serve. Here is my bowl of soup. This Panera broccoli cheddar soup is just so good. It has a nice, rich, creamy flavor, and it is perfect for this cold weather that we are getting here in New Mexico. Now we're making a 1-pot chicken and rice casserole. So to get this one started in my pan, I'm just adding a tablespoon of some olive oil. I let that get hot, and then I added a pound of some boneless, skinless chicken breast that I diced into smaller pieces. To season this up, you're going to add plenty of Italian seasoning, onion, garlic powder, paprika, salt, and pepper. Just eyeball it and add however much you want. That's the reason why I love this recipe so much. I'm going to let this cook up on my stove, and while it's cooking up, I'm going to begin to chop up my vegetables that we're going to use. So for the veggies, I'm just chopping up 2 carrots, 2 stalks of celery, and a half of an onion. Back over to our chicken that is mostly cooked. It's about 90% of the way cooked, I'd say. I added in our diced up onion along with our 3 cloves of garlic. I'm going to stir this all together until the onion softens. Now I'm adding in our celery that we chopped into smaller pieces along with our grated carrots. I'm going to stir this around for about a minute. To ensure that this had plenty of flavor, I added some more seasonings in, just the same seasonings that I used for the chicken before: paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, and some more salt and pepper. I stirred this all together, and now I'm adding in our 1.5 cups of some white rice. For the chicken broth, I added in about 2.5 cups of some chicken broth, or you could add veggie broth. I stirred this all together and I let it simmer on my stove for about 15 to 20 minutes. I did stir it very frequently so the rice cooked evenly, and I had the lid on. Here it is all cooked up, and now I'm adding in our 1/2 cup of some Parmesan cheese. I'm going to stir this together, and then it's ready to serve. Here is my plate of food. This came out wonderful. It had amazing flavor, and if you have picky eaters for kids, I feel like they might even like this one. This is a total hit for our family. And that is a wrap of another week of What's for Dinner. I hope you guys all enjoyed it, and I hope you are enjoying the colder weather. If you are having colder weather, we certainly are, but I hope you guys are all doing well, and if you are new here, we would love to have you, so go ahead and subscribe down below the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.